At the docks of Alameda, the USS Hornet Aircraft Museum is a reminder of the sacrifice made by so many. The ship served in World War II following the sinking of the original USS Hornet. NBC Bay Area's Rosato Jr. shows us how a volunteer's recent discovery has forged another historic link between those two ships.
When it comes to artifacts of World War II, perhaps none is larger than the USS Hornet aircraft carrier docked at Alameda's Naval Air Station.
So inside the hangar bay here we have aircraft spanning from World War II, Korea, Vietnam.
The Hornet was built in 1943 and served in the waning years of the war. It took the name of the original USS Hornet, sunk in battle in 1942.
So this is a marker for the exact spot when the first Hornet pulled into the pier here.
Through life's little connections, Hornet volunteer George Ratellis has ties to both ships.
My grandfather has history serving in the Pacific.
Ratellis' grandfather served at this air station and one night helped load bombs onto the first USS Hornet for what would be known as the Doolittle Raiders bombing run on Tokyo.
FDR wanted to come up with a mission to hit back at Tokyo after the attack at Pearl Harbor.
It was a risky mission because the 16 B-25 bombers launching from the original Hornet only carried enough fuel to drop their bombs on Tokyo and maybe make it to safety in China.
This mission was so dangerous because it was a one-way mission. My grandfather left me his journal.
Through a love of his grandfather's military stories, Ratellis began volunteering at the second Hornet, now museum.
All right. So this is our archives aboard the ship.
Some days on the ship, Ratellis helps sift through the numerous boxes stored in the archive room, where one day in a safe he discovered an old film reel.
And all it said on it was Doolittle, 1942.
He and fellow volunteers got the footage digitized.
And it was the Doolittle Raiders training in 1942 before they shipped off from the Hornet for their Tokyo raid. We were all thrilled. What you see in this footage is the preparations and personalities of all the Raiders before they flew. And they're smiling, knowing full well this is a one-way mission.
But that film was only the beginning of Ratellis' adventure. In January, he got offered a chance to travel to China to visit a museum devoted to the Doolittle Raiders. He jumped at the opportunity and also hatched an idea.
And on a hunch, I was like, wait a minute, we have a 16mm film reel. What if we gift it to them and we trade if they could find one of the B-25 bombers that crashed near their area? They replied back, no, like, we agree to your trade. Here we are.
So Ratellis flew to China and the Doolittle Museum in Suzhou City, meeting with people who were children when their families hid and protected the crews of the Doolittle mission who crashed or bailed out in China following the successful Tokyo bombing. One man still had the penny gifted to him by one of the airmen.
1 cent, United States of America. They recognized the Americans' role in helping liberate them from Japan during that time, but then also remember all their ancestors that were killed for doing so.
And then Ratellis swapped the original film canister for a piece of wreckage from one of the bombers named the Whirling Dervish.
There's a serial number on here, first 3 letters, 62B. That's the designation for a B-25 Mitchell bomber. This piece right here is located right here.
The bomber fragment will now go on display in a new Doolittle Raider exhibition in the Hornet Museum.
This is the only known fragment of a Doolittle Raider aircraft that will be on public display.
It's a tiny artifact of twisted steel, but in Ratellis' mind, its story represents an ideal every bit as big and important as an aircraft carrier. Joe Rosato Jr.
That's going to be awesome.
NBC Bay Area News.